It's hard to admit, but the people you love most could be the reason you're not hitting your financial goals. If you are here, you probably identify with this. You started making a little money, not millions, not even close, just enough to finally breathe a little. And you shared that with your family because of course you did. You were proud, you were relieved, you wanted them to be part of it. And then something shifted. Suddenly, in their eyes, you're rich. Now every time something comes up, a bill, a problem, a shortfall, your name quietly enters the conversation, not aggressively, not directly, just expected. Because in their mind, you have it now, so why wouldn't you help? And here's the uncomfortable part. They keep spending their money the same way, but now they're also planning around yours, and you feel it. Every time you hesitate, every time you think about saying no, there's this pressure, like you owe them something, like your progress belongs to everyone. And if you don't understand what's happening here, you can end up in a situation where you work harder than ever, earn more than ever, and somehow have less control than before. So in this video, we're going to talk about this exact dynamic. Why family pressure around money feels so heavy, why guilt shows up so fast, and how to handle it without becoming cold, without cutting people off, but also without quietly destroying your own future. If this helps you think more clearly, consider subscribing, not for me, but for the version of you that's trying to build something solid. You are a victim of your success, and that sounds dramatic, but nothing actually went wrong. You did what you were supposed to do. You worked, you improved, you became a little more disciplined, and for the first time, things started to move in the right direction. But instead of that creating freedom, it created attention, quiet attention, the kind that shows up in small moments, when people start mentioning you when money comes up, when your name becomes part of the solution, when your financial progress is no longer just yours. And the strange part is, no one officially asked you to take on this role. It just happened. Because in close environments like family, roles are rarely assigned, they evolve, and once they exist, they're very hard to question. So now you're in this position where saying yes feels natural, but saying no feels heavy, not because of the money, but because of what it represents. Loyalty, support, belonging, and your brain doesn't separate those things very well. It treats financial decisions like emotional ones. And if you follow that pattern long enough, something else quietly takes over. Guilt. You start making a bit more money. You're not rich, not even close, just stable. And instead of feeling proud, you feel guilty. This is where things start getting expensive because guilt is one of the strongest financial forces you'll ever deal with. It doesn't look like a bad decision. It feels like the right one. You look around, someone needs help, something needs fixing, and you think, maybe I should do something. And at first, it feels good. Helping always does. It gives you a sense of control, a sense of purpose. But over time, that feeling changes because now every extra bit you earn comes with an invisible assignment. You stop building your future and start maintaining everyone else's present. And no one officially tells you this. It just becomes understood. And once that expectation is there, it's very hard to undo. Because now saying no doesn't feel like a decision, it feels like betrayal. And that's when you start helping in ways that don't actually help. Because here's the part that's uncomfortable. Giving money to someone who doesn't understand money rarely solves anything, it just delays the problem. Because if you give a Ferrari to someone who can't drive, they're not going to suddenly become a driver, they're going to crash. And financially, it works the same way. Money is not just a resource, it's a skill amplifier. If someone has structure, discipline, awareness, money makes things better. If those things aren't there, money makes mistakes bigger. This is why you can help again and again, and nothing really changes. Because you're not solving the system, you're absorbing the pressure, you become the buffer, the safety net, the quiet fallback plan, and from the outside, it looks like generosity, but underneath, it's slowly limiting your own progress. And the moment you start pulling back, even slightly, you'll notice something else. The tone changes. It rarely comes as direct pressure. It comes disguised, in jokes, in comments, in tone. Oh, you've changed. Must be nice now. You think you're better. Everyone laughs, including you. But something in your body tightens because those jokes carry weight. They signal that your growth is visible, but not necessarily accepted. And your brain reacts quickly. You start explaining yourself more, justifying your decisions, downplaying your progress. You make yourself smaller just to keep things comfortable. This is not weakness. This is wiring. Humans are built to maintain social harmony, especially inside family. But here's the trade-off. Every time you shrink to stay accepted, You negotiate against your own future. And if you repeat that long enough, you don't just stay the same, you stay stuck. And this is usually the point where people start questioning themselves. Am I doing too much? Am I becoming different? And the honest answer is yes, you are. Because what you're doing is breaking a pattern. You might be the first person in your family who is not just earning money, but thinking differently about it. Planning, saving, investing, saying no, delaying gratification, and from the outside. That doesn't always look like growth. It looks like distance. Your decisions don't match anymore. Your priorities feel unfamiliar. And that creates tension, not always spoken, but felt. And that's where doubt starts creeping in. Am I losing connection? Am I becoming someone else? But what's actually happening is much simpler. You're evolving. And evolution inside familiar environments almost always feels like separation. But this is where you need clarity. Because if you misunderstand this moment, you'll try to go back. And going back comes at a cost. This is where most people make the mistake. They think choosing financial discipline means choosing themselves over their family. But that's not what's happening. You're not leaving anyone behind. You're changing direction. Because real stability is not built by constantly giving away your progress. It's built by protecting it, growing it, letting it compound, so that one day you're not just temporarily helpful, you're permanently stable. Because there's a difference between helping once and being relied on forever. And if you don't create that boundary, you don't become the solution. You become part of the cycle, the same cycle you were trying to escape. So the real shift is not about saying no to people. It's about saying yes to a version of your life that is strong enough to help without collapsing. And this is the part no one really prepares you for. Building a better financial life is not just about numbers. It's about identity. It's about learning how to sit with discomfort, how to say no without over-explaining, how to feel guilt without obeying it, because that feeling never fully disappears. You just get better at understanding it. You start recognizing the difference between helping and being used as a solution, between support and silent expectation. And once you see that clearly, your decisions change, not aggressively, not emotionally, just intentionally. You stop reacting and start choosing. And over time, those small choices become something bigger. They become stability. They become freedom. They become the reason you don't have to repeat the same story. And maybe one day you'll still help your family, but it won't come from pressure. It will come from strength. And that's a completely different position. So if any part of this felt familiar, then you're already starting to see things differently. And that's where real change begins. If this helped you think a little clearer, consider subscribing, because you're building a mindset that most people never take the time to develop. And that is what actually changes everything.